A new decision by a school board in Mississippi has now triggered this racially charged controversy in a little community there. The district's first ever black superintendent was recently put on leave less than a year after she was hired. Dr. Kenitra Easy says she was trying to make the district's only predominantly black school equal to the district's predominantly white school. NBC's Antonia Hylton traveled to the community and joins me now with her exclusive reporting. Antonia, good to see you. Talk us through what's going on here.
Hey, Hallie. Dr. Kenitra Easy started her job back in the summer of 2021, and she told me that almost immediately she realized that this was an incredibly divided community. One school that was majority white, one school that's majority black, and that the black school had all the remedial programming. It had a gym that hadn't had AC for almost 7 years, while the white school had much better facilities and it had all of the gifted and talented programming. Dr. Easy says she tried to do something about that, and now black students, colleagues, and Dr. Easy are saying that she's been targeted for it. Take a look at her story.
Nadesha Jones is a straight-A student at Mississippi's Bay Springs High. Lately, she and her friends have become activists, questioning the school board's decision to place their district's first black superintendent, Dr. Kenitra Easy, on leave less than a year after she was hired.
The only thing that was ever surprising to me was the fact that we ever got a black superintendent that brung out all the disparities, all the discrimination that has been going on.
Was it important to black students to see the first ever black superintendent?
Yes, it was very.
According to Dr. Easy, trouble began soon after she took the reins of the rural Mississippi school district she describes as separate but unequal. The district's gifted and talented programming is at the predominantly white Stringer K-12 campus, the remedial programming at predominantly black Bay Springs schools.
Students at Bay Springs would take drug education, whereas students at Stringer would take theater.
And Dr. Easy was concerned about the condition of Bay Springs facilities. There was no AC in the school's gym for almost 7 years. Dr. Easy says she wanted to make Bay Springs equal to Stringer in building and program quality. She proposed placing a new district-wide pre-K program in Bay Springs. Stringer parents objected, calling the 10 to 20-minute drive too far. One parent sent Dr. Easy an anonymous letter.
The parent told me that I was being watched very, very closely, that I had no right to try to make changes.
When you look back at that letter now, was it prophetic?
It was absolutely. When I was hired, I was told, don't poke the bear in Stringer. Leave Stringer alone.
Then, on March 3rd, the school board called a special meeting. Multiple white employees spoke out against Dr. Easy, some saying she'd created a hostile work environment. Black employees spoke in her support.
Is this about race?
I didn't want this to be about race, but the facts are about 20 white employees came forth with concerns about the first black superintendent in the district.
The board voted to place Dr. Easy on paid leave pending termination. She says within minutes her email was deactivated, and the next morning her office had new locks.
Hi, my name is Antonia Hylton. I'm with NBC News.
NBC News placed numerous calls and emails to district and state officials. All refused to provide any comment for our story. One Stringer parent spoke to us outside the local post office.
Are you at all surprised that it looks like she's losing her job less than a year into it?
Yeah, and I think she was causing, it seemed like from what I hear, is causing problems soon as she come into it.
Do you think this would be happening if she were a white man?
No, I don't know. I think you need to get off the racism thing and just get along and do your job.
Dr. Easy is still waiting for a hearing. She's been replaced by a white acting superintendent. Student activist Nadesha still hopes Dr. Easy will be reinstated, but with every passing week, doubts grow.
We have to fight so the people that come after us don't have to go through the same thing we're going through.
Hallie, Dr. Easy is not only waiting for a hearing, but she told us that she still has not received a letter or an email outlining exactly why the district is actually moving toward firing her. So she feels right now like she's completely in the dark. Not only that, but she says that she's been experiencing some hostility in the community, that she went to a recent baseball game and was asked by the Stringer principal to leave part of the premises. And NBC News actually obtained video of this incident that just shows how much this tension has spilled over through the entire community. But now we're in the summer. She should be preparing for the next school year, and she still does not know about the status of her job, Hallie.
Which brings us to a top challenge in schools themselves, finding enough teachers, especially amid growing cultural fights. Antonia Hylton returns to Southlake, Texas, where school began this week.
For 7 years, Adam Burns loved his job as a middle school technology teacher in Southlake's Carroll school system.
Hey, cutie pie.
But after members of a conservative political action committee won the majority of seats on the school board, and Texas passed laws restricting how teachers could address racism in the classroom, Adam and his wife, Brandy, who's black, thought of their 11-year-old son.
Did you feel like you could be true to yourself and stay in this job?
No, not at all.
Adam quit in July, but says Carroll schools haven't found his replacement, and his contract requires him to stay until they do.
My message to other teachers would be to be true to yourself. For the district, I would just say it's time to start listening to the people that you employ.
Given exhaustion and stress from the COVID pandemic, one survey finds as many as 55% of America's educators are considering leaving the profession. In Southlake, Texas, NBC News has covered extensively conflicts and an active federal civil rights investigation into the treatment of minority and LGBTQ children in the Carroll district. 93 out of 577 teachers left that district last year.
Here's 3 teachers that
three really good teachers.
Amazing teachers.
I mean, kids loved us and kids learned from us.
Tim Hamilton taught Spanish for 9 years. A group of residents became outraged after he wore a Black Lives Matter mask and posted about his beliefs on Facebook. Administrators demoted him, and Tim refused to work the new position.
And the almost decade that I spent in the district, that was worthless. That meant nothing to them.
Carroll schools did not comment on any personnel matters regarding the teachers we spoke with. Kim Ross quit last spring after teaching algebra for 13 years.
Part of what we saw and what was happening that kind of made us go, I don't think I can do this anymore, at least for now.
They might fire you for doing this interview.
Well, they can't fire me because I quit.
A new survey found that 70% of Texas teachers are considering leaving the profession entirely, the highest number ever recorded since the survey began in 1980. Ovidia Molina is the president of the Texas State Teachers Association.
Educators are feeling less support, not just from the elected officials who we felt for a long time, but also seeing an increase of lack of support from our parents because of all the political rhetoric that is being thrown around about who we are.
If this continues, what's going to happen to the public schools?
We're going to see a lot more classrooms without teachers, and we're going to see even less people wanting to come into education.
Despite losing 16% of its teachers last year, the Carroll district says it has only 3 open positions currently, which it expects to fill shortly, and it is implementing raises and instructional coaches to help those still there. Adam hopes that his colleagues and his young son understand why he chose to speak out.
Does it upset you to think that this might be the end of the road for you with teaching?
It was a big leap for myself and my family for me to do this, and realizing that I don't feel like there's really a place for me. Yeah, it's really tough.
Antonia Hylton, NBC News, Southlake, Texas.
Tonight we return to Southlake, Texas, where the school district we've reported on faces a federal civil rights probe. Antonia Hylton and why the schools may be forced to accept diversity plans they fought to stop.
Like many 12-year-olds, Christian loves Yu-Gi-Oh!, science fiction, and hanging out in his room.
I really wanted to make an elemental hero deck.
But recently he says he's struggled after being bullied relentlessly for identifying as pansexual at Durham Intermediate School, part of the Carroll Independent School District in Southlake, Texas.
It mainly just gave me depression, and it felt more nerve-wracking to go to school.
What were kids saying?
They were using gay slurs and being very rude to me just by making jokes.
One day, his mother, Christina Edmiston, noticed welts all over his legs. Christian told her other students had hit him.
I would go to pick him up, and I would see him standing by himself, but then watching kids circle him, kind of like a lion would stalk its prey.
Southlake schools have been in the national spotlight since 2018, when a video of high school students chanting the N-word went viral. Volunteers spent almost 2 years working on a school diversity and inclusion plan, but conservative residents launched a lawsuit and voted in new school board members opposed to it. Now, the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights is investigating alleged discrimination based on race, sexuality, and nation of origin. The NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund has also filed a complaint on behalf of 4 students, saying the district failed to intervene. Christian is one of them.
Why did the NAACP now add to this investigation?
This is not about any particular individual, but rather this is systemic. This is happening over and over again.
Did the Carroll School District fail this 12-year-old?
Absolutely. This is any parent's worst nightmare.
September was the breaking point. Christian says he told a friend that he no longer wanted to be alive. Students allegedly turned an old volleyball net into a noose, encouraging Christian to hang himself from a football post in the schoolyard.
Since that incident, has there been an investigation, and have any of the kids involved been held accountable?
Not to my knowledge. It feels to me like they are trying to sweep it under the rug and they are trying to not address it.
Christina has filed 3 detailed grievances with the district and has pulled Christian out of Southlake schools. The district did not respond to numerous requests for comment. If the federal government finds violations, Carroll schools could be forced to implement new diversity training. But that process could take months or even years, something Christina says her family cannot afford to wait and see.
Some days are really still difficult. He's working really hard to overcome, but the good days you're just so thankful for every day because we almost didn't have any more with him.
What gave you the bravery to talk about this?
Mainly just being able to know that other people in the school district, if they are listening to this, that they'll be able to actually see that there will be some good in this world.
Antonia, Hylton, NBC News, Southlake, Texas.